All right, guys, I finally broke down and I watched Snake Eyes. And you know what? I gotta say, I was very, very surprised. I mean, this movie could actually be so, so much worse than what I actually thought it was going to be. Let's talk about it next here in the Poindexter Lounge. What's up, nerd family? Welcome once again to the Poindexter Lounge. My name is Enosh, aka Enosh Fett, and it is good to have you with me in the lounge today. Now, look, if this is your first time to the lounge, just know that the Poindexter Lounge is a place for nerds. It's a place where you and me and my crew can get together and talk about all the things that we love. Things like TV shows, movies, games, sci-fi, fantasy, comic books, superheroes, toys, and so much more. And if those are things that get you excited, if those are things that get you spending your hard-earned money and watching movies that really had no business ever existing, we all do it sometimes, then please hit that subscribe button as well as that notification bell, because you are welcome here. This is a place for you. This is a place for all nerds, and we're glad to have you here. Now, I've been talking about this last few weeks, this Snake Eyes movie, and if you've been around for any amount of time and listened to me, you know that I'm a pretty positive person. You know, I don't get off on these tangents like some people do, you know, regarding things from their childhood. I don't think that everything is ruined. I don't think that everything is bad. I find the good in so much, which really disappoints me then that I'm having a real hard time finding anything good about the Snake Eyes movie. Seriously. I'm having a real hard time finding anything positive about this. So look, if you come here and you say, "Wow, Enosh, you sound really, really negative," that's not usually me. I'm not usually negative at all, and that's why it's so hard for me to do this. But so many of you have asked me that when I saw this movie, you wanted me to give my review, you wanted me to give my thoughts, because I've been talking about this on the show for a while. And so look, when I first saw the trailer, the trailers, I should say, I knew that this was not going to be good. It doesn't resemble Snake Eyes. It doesn't look like Snake Eyes. And it's not just the race swap thing. You know, look, I'm usually not even against stuff like that, as long as the character remains the same. I don't care if Snake Eyes is Asian, as long as it resembles. Sure, it's not what I would want, because it's not the original story. There's no race appropriation going on here. They didn't take over some other culture or whatever. This is the story. He's a white guy that is hated in that culture because of by certain characters because he's white. You know, there's this whole narrative there that's now lost because you switch him. But as long as he's Snake Eyes, I don't care. But guys, watching this movie, the movie Snake Eyes is insulting to my brain. It's insulting to any fan of G.I. Joe, and it's insulting to anyone who is looking into G.I. Joe as something that they might be a fan of, because it does not represent G.I. Joe at all. It does not represent the character of Snake Eyes at all. It's its own thing, and that's fine, but don't call yourself a G.I. Joe origin movie for Snake Eyes if this isn't Snake Eyes at all, and you're not even trying. And that's the thing, is I'm really disappointed because they literally didn't even try. It's like they went through and purposely took all the G.I. Joe stuff out of this, except for a couple of names, and just spit this movie out. First of all, if you're comparing this to the two previous G.I. Joe movies, don't. Because I never thought that I would say this, but both of those movies were better than this movie in absolutely every way. And we'll get into that in just a second. But look, it's just this movie is insulting to my brain. This movie is no more Snake Eyes than Zack Snyder's Justice League is Snake Eyes. The only difference between those two movies is that Zack Snyder's Justice League is a great movie. It's a good movie. For Snake Eyes, I'd even settle for passable, but this movie isn't even passable. I literally did not find myself at any time just even smiling with recognition about something. Well, I take that back. One thing I smiled about, and I'll talk about it in a second, but that's it. This doesn't pass any kind of test at all, let alone show any inkling of being any good. I mean, you have things happening like Snake Eyes trying to rescue Tommy, which that that's one of the things, and I'll talk about that in a second. But he's rescuing Tommy, Storm Shadow, and they're trying to get away. But you would think that they were in a Las Vegas magic show act with Penn and Teller, because they get in a box truck and all of a sudden everybody surrounds them and starts stabbing swords into the cabin and through the window, through the windshield, through the roof, through the doors, and not one touches them. And they're inside like, like they're in a magic box or something. I mean, how much do you expect me to believe here? It contains all these stereotypes. This movie is so full of stereotypes, it's insulting. It's got a stereotype of the international underground gangster types, and these are all Asian guys with these solid color metallic style suits from the 90s with gold chains and stuff, because and these kind of sketchy beards and stuff, and that's what they're meant to look like, and whatever. And look, he makes a great Snake Eyes, if you're completely doing something different, which is what they're doing. He's fine, he's a fine actor, but he's regulated to simply just staring off into the distance at people and having this, this emotional way about him, having to remain hard. Everything's hard in this movie. Everything's a grimace. He has to show up everyone that he comes in contact with. So nobody, can do anything except for the one girl. The one girl, she gets a heads up on him, and the hard master at some point gets a little bit of heads up on him. But most of the time, man, he's just showing up everybody. He's just mad at the world. He's too cool for everyone, and that's the thing. He's too cool for everyone he comes into contact with. He's too cool to even care. Even though he's been through this emotional trauma, having his father die. His father was killed right in front of him and everything, and not right in front of him, but he listened to as his father was shot, and then the house he was in burned down, and so everything's just super hard, and he's angry. But he's too cool at the same time for anyone. And the one thing that they stick to that I actually liked is getting Storm Shadow's name right, because they call him by his name, Tommy, which I thought was great. But that's where it ends. That's the one moment that I smiled, because it's like, hey, they called him Tommy, awesome. But Tommy goes from being this weak, captured, and overcome person at the beginning. He's working for the villain as well, right alongside Snake Eyes. But and Snake Eyes is working on these docks, stuffing guns into fish. But then all of a sudden they have this big meeting, and apparently Storm Shadow, Tommy, is found out, and so Tommy goes from being this, like I said, this weak, shackled guy, to all of a sudden, once Snake Eyes comes and beats up a couple guys and frees him, all of a sudden he's a Storm Shadow. Tommy is a hard, determined, fearless guy who's just ready to fight and flip over things, and and nothing scares him. And of course, Snake Eyes is some invincible character, at times, and he's just this invincible type warrior who never makes a misstep. And again, it's just always ticked off, and he's just too cool for the movie even that he's in. And it's like the character didn't even want to be in this film. Like the character itself, Snake Eyes himself didn't want to be in this film about himself, because it was beneath him. Everything is just kind of beneath him and just doesn't matter. And everyone in this movie acts like they are actively being given a colonoscopy without the aid of the Twilight drugs, without the aid of not having to deal with the pressure and everything of having something stuck up your rear end, because that's the way it makes everyone else feel having to watch it. But everyone has this scowl on their face. Everyone looks annoyed and angry all the time. They're all agitated at all times. It's literally like at a moment's notice, they're going to absolutely have a full-on mental breakdown and just start killing everyone. And look, there's sometimes that they do. They just go off. But there's a lot of tension in this film. But it's not a healthy tension. It's not a good. It's not a good tension, I should say. It's not earned. It's not warranted tension even. It's just tension for tension's sake, and that doesn't work. That's just blah. That's just like, oh, there's stuff going on here. Nobody's actually caring. As the watcher, you're not really caring about what they're doing. You're just watching it transpire in front of you, and it just goes from one thing to the next. And look, Snake Eyes saves Tommy, so of course Tommy owes him a life debt now because he saved him, and he's willing to go to bat for him because Snake Eyes has no life to go back to now because once he crossed the villain, that villain's going to surely come for him, and so now Snake Eyes, he didn't kill Tommy in cold blood for the villain, so he really has no option but to join the Ninja Clan. And this movie proves that you can't just slap the name G.I. Joe on something like you own the story. It's just like, well, we own the story, so we're going to put G.I. Joe on anything. Because this movie feels like it was actually a different property that was just a ninja movie from the 90s, not even the 80s, the 90s, where they changed the name of the character and said, hey, we can make this, this origin movie belong to Snake Eyes because Snake Eyes was a ninja. And the way he comes up with his name, oh my gosh, because the villain has his victims roll a pair of dice to determine whether he kills them or not. And so his dad rolls Snake Eyes, and so of course he's got to die. I mean, what is this? A less interesting version of Two-Face from the Batman comics? This is we're just randomly throwing this stuff up here. This isn't even a good ninja movie. It's a ninja movie, but it's not even a good ninja movie. It seems like a B movie. It seems like something that you would happen upon at 4 a.m. or something like that. I'll say right up, the first act of Batman Begins with Bruce Wayne going off and learning from the League of Shadows and Ra's al Ghul and all that stuff. All of that is such a better movie than this entire film. And you know what? It's also closer to Snake Eyes' actual origin than this entire film. That would make a better Snake Eyes story. And look, I know everyone will say that, there's many more things wrong with it, so why even talk about the race swap thing? But again, it's just simply one more thing that makes this movie not a Snake Eyes movie. So yes, you got to talk about it because it's not the main thing that's wrong with it, but it's one more thing that when added to the rest, it's like, what is this? And say what you want to about G.I. Joe, The Rise of Cobra, and Retaliation, but at least they got Snake Eyes right. Ray Park, man, nailed it out of the park with his Snake Eyes, which is a lot more than I can say for a movie that's actually called Snake Eyes in this respect. So as the movie progresses, you realize you're 45 minutes in and you don't know anything about Snake Eyes. Sure, you know that his dad died. You know that he's an unbeatable warrior, and you know that he was working on the docks or whatever for the villain. But we don't really have an idea of who he is as a person. We know how he got his name now, but we don't know who he is as a person. And that's a problem. We just know that he's a cool dude who can do martial arts really, really well. And the one really good scene is when he exchanges his bowl of water for the Hardmaster's bowl of water. And it's a great lesson. But you know what I found myself sitting there thinking, why is the Hardmaster younger than Snake Eyes? He looks younger than Snake Eyes. The Hardmaster is supposed to be a mentor, an older guy, a mentor to both Storm Shadow and Snake Eyes. And this guy, I don't know. Who is this guy? And Tommy goes on about his legacy to lead the Ashikage clan. But, can we just take a second and talk about that for a second? This whole clan thing. Because, first of all, what's with the repetitive Yoda explanation of the clan having been around for 600 years? They keep repeating it over to go, we've been around for 600 years. Yeah, it's not really, defined why they're around. Tommy tells Snake Eyes that he needs warriors like him to lead into the next 100 years, to fight together as brothers. And yeah, that's great, but what are they fighting? Some gun smugglers from a dock? Obviously, if they've been around for over 600 years, they haven't just been fighting some Japanese gun smugglers who stuffs Uzis into fish. So what is the point of the clan? And the thing, too, is the clan is I don't know, they got this whole campus just outside of town. It's literally right there outside of the city, but yet they're training a horde of ninjas, an army of ninjas that just goes unseen. And every time people meet in this movie, every time two people see each other, it's like a freaking stare down, every time. And it's just this confrontation. And I'm sorry, but when you use that same kind of shot over and over and over again, it gets annoying after a while. And it was about 45 minutes, or 48 minutes, I should say, at that mark in the movie, that I realized that I just wish this movie didn't even exist. because it's just that bad, and it's doing more damage at this point than any good that it would ever do. I mean, now we got people just supernaturally hovering in midair because they're ninjas, right? Because ninjas. That's what it is. I mean, this is supposed to be a G.I. Joe Origins movie, and each moment the movie progressed, it became more and more clear that this was a dull and more bland telling of this story with more stereotypes than you know what to do with. And then we get our first look at that classic Cobra symbol, right? They open up these gun crates, and there's the classic Cobra symbol. So we know they're getting the guns from Cobra. That should spice this up, right? Bring Cobra into it. That and a boring long shot of the villain, standing up on top of this building, looking down on everyone as it rains, as he watches minions fight. Because that's what you do, right? And seriously, who thought that this was okay? Who thought that this was okay to call this a Snake Eyes movie? And by this time, we know that Snake Eyes is actually undercover for the villain. He's actually working for the villain. So he's a jerk. And I got to say that John Campea got it right for once. Like, the cinematography is horrible in this movie. It's shaking all over the place. And I thought that they were exaggerating. But yes, by the time they bring Scarlet into it, my lord, it's Scarlet is walking down a hallway. And you would think there was an earthquake going on because the camera is shaking all over the place. Why? But although that we can tell that Snake Eyes is working for the villain and he's not doing the right thing right now, we already know that by the end of the movie he's going to turn his back on them and he's going to be a good guy. He's going to do the right thing. So I'm not understanding. Did they think that this was an unpredictable storyline, or what are they trying to do? And look, even as I'm recording this and as I was typing up my thoughts, because I was taking notes as I was watching the movie, I felt like that this movie was a devolved bad version of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Because as I watched Storm Shadow and others levitating and floating in the air in the rain, that's cool, right, boys and girls? Floating, levitating. I mean, it makes sense to me in a war movie. But when in doubt, hey, floating ninjas. And now we're introduced to Scarlet, and I literally wanted to bang my head against the wall when we were introduced to her. Like I said, shaking camera all over the place. And then she walks into a bathroom unaffected by the fact that she's being followed, obviously, and tailed, apparently, by these people, by these guys. And they surround her in the bathroom while she's on the phone, but they let her finish her FaceTime call. So that they're very polite. And she props up her phone like I would watch a YouTube video or make a video or something, and she pulls some weaponry out of her luggage and proceeds to just fight these guys in the bathroom. And Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow and the clan, they're watching her on the FaceTime call, and Snake Eyes asks if they should be concerned, to which Storm Shadow replies, "No, she's with the Joes." And then it's explained that the Joes are a counter-terrorist organization. The good guys. They actually say that. Yeah, they're the good guys. The good guys. I mean, seriously. No, really. Seriously. I didn't feel like I could take anymore at this point. And now let's reveal that the bad guys who came after Scarlet are really Cobra, right? Those are Cobra guys. And basically, this is just an opportunity for the audience to be told, excuse me, not the audience, Snake Eyes to be told who Cobra is. It's like spoon-feeding children. Ugh. Then we get some supernatural floating blue light orb, and it takes Snake Eyes on his next test, where he witnesses the fire that destroyed his father's house, or whatever that house was, but killed his father somehow, and he jumps into this dream state in the shot, and then his father comes to him and tells him and reminds him that it's not his fault. It's not his fault that he died, and that's great, but it seems like it's in the wrong movie. It doesn't feel like it's organically in this film. He's just seeing things now, and they're acting like this is supposed to carry some weight. I mean, this is a war movie about soldiers, not little blue orbs. I don't get it. It's literally a floating supernatural blue orb. Please stop insulting my intelligence. If you want to tell a supernatural movie, that's fine, but that's not this. How did this movie get greenlit? And again, why is it called Snake Eyes? And then, just when I didn't think it could get any lower or any worse, giant fighting effing anacondas. Yep. Roaring giant effing anacondas that make the anacondas in the movie Anaconda look more like regular anacondas. Who is it at this point that honestly said this is a good idea? Because I honestly wanted to turn the movie off, but I've come this far, so I can't. So I'm just perplexed and disgusted. Giant freaking anacondas. And I could have swore, I'd have to watch it again, but I could have swore that I saw venom fangs on the thing. And they roared like the shark in Jaws 4, The Revenge. It was at this point in the movie that I was so disappointed and questioning why we can't have a realistic, take on the properties that Hollywood makes movies of. And if you know me, you know you got to know that I don't just hate on movies to hate on movies. You know that I try to find the good in things. I literally try to find the positive things. And look, this review this is not positive at all, and I get it. And I will admit, I went into this movie not expecting to like it because of the trailers that I had seen, and then also because I already had people tell me the things that were in the movie, basically the outline of the movie. And I've seen on the screen myself with my own eyes this film now, and it took it to a whole different level. And I can already hear some of you saying, well, Enosh, you just didn't want to like the movie anyways. You were just hoping against hope that it would be wrong. And you guys were hoping that I would watch this and be able to come out saying, guys, I was wrong. And I really wish that I could have watched this movie and come back and report it and said, you know what, I was wrong. This movie was actually good. I was wrong. I've done it before. I was wrong about Guardians of the Galaxy, and I absolutely took back everything that I said about thinking that it was going to be the first flop for Marvel. But I'm only halfway through this movie, and it's already the worst thing ever. I literally can't take it. Giant roaring anacondas that don't even look like anacondas and appear to have venom fangs. Yes, that's what we're watching here. And I've been hoping against hope that these were supposed to be supernatural or spiritual stuff, because we saw that blue orb, right? So maybe this is some spiritual stuff going on, and maybe it's in his head, kind of like when he saw his dad, that maybe he was given a hallucinogenic drug to make him see the snakes. And by the way, these are horrible CGI snakes. I mean, awful CGI snakes. But no. Not only were they real, they proceeded to have a martial arts style fight with a human being. A martial arts fight with Snake Eyes. Snake Eyes literally gets in a pose and starts fighting them. I mean, they just bang him around. But I mean, if this is real and these snakes are actually the size that these snakes are. And by the way, apparently these snakes are not only these large, huge snakes, but they have some consciousness. They understand things that regular snakes would not. Yeah, it's that bad. But if they were real, Snake Eyes is dead. These things are huge. You ain't living from this. I mean, from the moment these snakes enter the room, there is no overcoming this. But don't worry, kids. Just as he's about to be crushed by one of the anacondas, he's saved by the girl who's been giving him a hard time this whole time, because now she feels bad for him. And she's breaking the rules of the clan, but she didn't want to see him suffer. So he actually failed the test. But then they all have to, stand before the leader. I'm just asking, why, God? Why was this movie made? Why did you allow this movie to be made? Have I done something? What has happened that you've allowed this monstrosity to actually exist? And Snake Eyes fesses up, though, like, everybody's getting blamed. First it's, the woman, and it's, Storm Shadow. But Snake Eyes fesses up that he has an unforgiving heart, an impure heart, because he wants to kill the man who killed his dad. And now Storm Shadow, Tommy, because he's not Storm Shadow yet, is mad at him and brooding outside his window. He's very, very upset because, he admitted this, because, he brought him in and everything, and they was supposed to, he wasn't supposed to have any problems coming in, for God's sake. No, why would you want somebody who's upset and actually has real life issues? No, apparently he was not supposed to have any issues coming in. Whatever. No worries, kids. Snake Eyes apologizes, and he cuts his hand, and Tommy does the same, and now they're blood brothers. And have I mentioned that we are at an hour and 15 minutes into the movie, and Snake Eyes doesn't have his iconic suit yet, doesn't look like Snake Eyes, hasn't been in an accident, is still talking with everyone just freely, and Storm Shadow is not Storm Shadow yet either. Yeah. But hey, here's something. Yep. This is smart, I gotta say. Here's something smart. Snake Eyes uses the blood that they cut each other's hands with to get into the vault where the sun crystal or whatever it is located, and this crystal gives somebody power to basically destroy anybody. It gives them power to do anything, and because it's this other supernatural aspect to this whole thing. Remember when they talked about it, to get into it, it had to be DNA coded, and so he was very smart. He got Storm Shadow's blood, or it's gonna be Tommy's blood. So now he's got the big piece of red kryptonite, and we're off to see what he does with it. Does he do the right thing in the end, boys and girls? Well, we have to ask ourselves, will knowing be half the battle? Yeah, Snake Eyes steals the jewel, and he goes to get his reward, finding out who the killer of his father is. So he's going to give the crystal that could possibly kill everyone, that give this villain absolute power. He knows he's a villain. He doesn't like the guy. He doesn't even want to be working for him, but he gives him that kind of power just so he can find out who killed his dad. And he turns the jewel over to the bad guys, and they test it out by killing someone right then and there, and they leave Snake Eyes to go get his revenge on this guy. And it's very dramatic. He tells the man, "You killed my father," because he's like, who are you? It's like, "You killed my father." And I literally said verbatim the next line before the villain said it. Basically talking about like I've killed a lot of people. Who's your father? I wouldn't know. And I'm paraphrasing there, but I actually nailed it when I was watching it. Not only is this movie bad, but like I said, it's also so predictable. And when I say predictable, I mean as predictable as you eat some junk food, you're probably going to have some bowel disturbances and some diarrhea, right? It's that predictable. And that's what this movie is. It's absolute cinematic diarrhea. Cinematic diarrhea that goes on for 2 hours. The kind of diarrhea that you get where it just bubbles in your gut forever, and you fight it and you fight it and fight it, but it causes pain and gas, and it just won't subside until you've sat there for 2 hours and just let it run its course. Nothing's even happening, but like this movie, nothing's actually happening, but for some reason it's running its course, and where you feel like you're gonna die, but you just know that you have to get through it. Yeah, that's the Snake Eyes movie, folks. 2 hours of painful, gut-wrenching, burning, cinematic diarrhea. Back to our story. Not only does Snake Eyes snap out of it and not kill the man who killed his father, but once he finds out it's Cobra that put the guy up to killing his father, and it wasn't just him, he cuts the guy's chains and sets him free. This is a man who literally just admitted to you, to your face, that he's killed many people, including your father. You don't have to kill him, I get it, but you don't let him go. What? You just let him go. And Snake Eyes is bouncing around vehicles on the expressway here at the end. I mean, like he gets on this, thing. I mean, he's riding a motorcycle for God's sake, and he's flipping over things. And I'll be honest with you, watching the stunt coordination, it was like watching the dailies or something. It wasn't like watching the final product, because when he steps up and gets up on the motorcycle, it's like all like it doesn't flow like most of these movies do with something like this. He just gets up and he just flips over and now he's going after the villain because, he's mad. He's going after Cobra. And Snake Eyes is bouncing over these vehicles on the expressway while the villain goes to take over the clan, because that's what his whole thing was. He wants to take over the Asiagi clan and just burn it to the ground. And then all of a sudden, Scarlet shows up and just makes some joke about the party starting early. I mean, Scarlet was horrible in this movie. Absolutely horrible in this movie. And she has no purpose in this film. No purpose. Every line she has in this movie is a dumb joke. I watched it. Every line she has is a dumb joke. She literally doesn't deliver a line that's just straight. And the Baroness is almost as bad. And when I saw reviews that said that this Baroness was better than the version that came before in G.I. Joe Rise of Cobra, I held out some hope that you would have that she would be good. I mean, you'd have to be the blind master not to see that she's horrible in this movie. I'm still not sure what accent that was. And as for Scarlet, all reports of her being an amazing addition to this movie, quite simply insane. 14 minutes to go and Snake Eyes is still talking, still not injured, and still doesn't have his outfit. How is this a Snake Eyes movie again? How are our heroes fighting 20 villains at a time completely unaffected by it? Because that's what they're doing. They're literally walking from one battle to another, and it's just 20 people here, 20 people there, and they're just taking them all on and just killing them because they all just stand around watching each other. Basically, villains walk in to simply be killed or knocked out, all while the Baroness is doing nothing to keep her end of the bargain of helping them get out. And she's really not doing anything. They make this little pact or whatever so that the Baroness can go free, and she doesn't do anything. She doesn't help at all. She's just there. So why is she there? You should have killed her. They fight the villain, and Tommy gets the crystal. And he just tries to. He thinks that he blew up the villain. He thinks that he blew him up with the crystal. But you cut to Snake Eyes, a horrible cut, by the way. You just cut to Snake Eyes chasing him and fighting him in the woods. And of course, this totally telegraphs that he's going to take him to that snake pit, that giant anaconda pit that they were in earlier. And obviously, this guy's heart is corrupt. So a snake ends up eating him. And by the way, speaking of the snake eating him, what else are they feeding these huge snakes? Are they just feeding people to these snakes? Because these snakes are freaking huge. But then, Snake Eyes is connected to the villain, by a chain. And so, so as the villain is eaten, Snake Eyes is being held up, and he's going to go into the snake's mouth next. Unless, that's right, he rolls his eyes back, he concentrates, and this time he is pure because he is forgiven, he's moved on, and he looks at a snake with, you guessed it, snake eyes, glowing snake eyes. All right, so everything's resolved now. Everything is good. It's that moment. They've beaten the villain. They've kind of solved all the issues that we know of. It's that calm before the end of the movie. All of the the villain has been beaten, and of course, all of the anacondas have gone back to their home. However that works, I'm not really sure how that works. Like I said, it's a pit, so I don't know if they're from deep in the earth. Or what. They had to hit this tile that apparently lets them in, so I don't know where they came from. And like I said before, what are they eating? They're just eating humans? I don't know. But so back at the Ashikage, dojo at the headquarters there, Tommy is told by his grandmother now that he can never be the leader of the clan. Remember, he was set to be the leader of the clan, and he can never be the leader of the clan now because he used the red crystal. He used the red kryptonite that they gave him against the villain. You know, and the funny thing is like he didn't even kill him. He didn't even do anything. He just blew up the house there, the building. But because he used it, he cannot be the leader, because apparently the Ashikage, they are only set to protect. They're sworn to protect the crystal, but never use it. So like, you know, several times earlier in the movie, he has a crybaby fit. And that's the thing, man, is when Tommy has this fit, he's literally several times now punching the floor, punching the ground, yelling and screaming at the top of his lungs. He literally gets up. It looks like he's going to bust a blood vessel or something because he's so angry. And I get being angry, but I mean, like, he literally acts like a little baby every time he does this. He's literally screaming at people. And as he's screaming at the top of his lungs, you know, kind of like a fanboy who feels that their favorite thing was, you know, done wrong, you know, from their childhood, you know, that they were robbed. I don't know. But 6 minutes to go in the movie, and still no Snake Eyes outfit. Still no Snake. 6 minutes to go. I'm watching the countdown. 6 minutes to go. No Snake Eyes outfit yet. So I'm sure we'll get like, what, 4.5, 5 minutes of like awesome Snake Eyes action, right? So we've been waiting the whole time for this. But Tommy yells about his birthright and that it's not fair and all this stuff. And then he gets in Snake Eyes' face. And apparently he's mad at Snake Eyes. He blames Snake Eyes for this. This was like his own, it was his own, you know, will that he went and took the crystal and yelled, you know, and tried to blow up the guy. But no, somehow he's blaming Snake Eyes for this because Snake Eyes, you know, came and deceived them and kind of used them and then left and came back, whatever. So now he is angry at Snake Eyes, and he promises because when they cut their hands and drew blood and became blood brothers, you know, they talked about how, you know, they gave their lives to each other. And so Tommy tells Snake Eyes, you know, he says he promised him his life, so next time he will take it from him. And all while, you know, leaving, saying that he serves no one. He serves no one. Because his grandma or his mom or whoever that, I think it's his grandma, tells him, you know, you'll always be family. And he says, I serve no one. And of course he leaves. And that's, you know, that's him. Nobody tries to stop him. Nobody goes after him. Snake Eyes isn't like, hey, where are you going? Or like follows him or puts a tracker on him. Nothing. And then finally, we see Snake Eyes packing up to go after Tommy. So literally, we just saw Tommy leave, and now we're watching Snake Eyes packing up to apparently tail Tommy to, like, you know, find him. How does that work? Like, why? What is going on here? And in the most lackluster possible way. I mean, the absolute most, like, well, okay, sure, yeah, fine. You see somebody basically bringing a platter, like they had just, you know, like they were bringing a platter of dishes or a bin of dishes, you know, back to get washed or something at a restaurant. And it's got the Snake Eyes outfit on it. The black Snake Eyes outfit with the helmet and the visor and the whole 9 yards. And it's sitting there. I mean, and you know what this actually reminds me a lot of is if you remember the Wolverine, where at the end of the Wolverine, they had a deleted scene where where Wolverine gets his brown traditional suit, right? And you can find that scene online, but it's very, very similar, except that they're not on an airplane. But it's funny because the next scene takes place on an airplane. So it's weird. It's like it's borrowing from all these things, and it's just, but that movie also had Asian roots, and, you know, and there was Silver Samurai and his daughter, and it's just all this stuff that it just feels like they just cobbled it all together. And so, yep, there it is. In the most lackluster possible way, he's given the Snake Eyes suit. They're like, you may need this if you're going to go search for Tommy. Why would you just need this black suit to go search for Tommy? Why is this suit so special? No information whatsoever. Just here's a helmet. that covers your face and head completely, and here is a black suit. All right, sure. Oh, yay. There's Scarlet again. Here comes Scarlet. Yep, Scarlet's just in time. Yay. And she just, like, you know, I'm sure, right, that here she comes. It's the end of the movie. I'm sure she's got something great to say, right? She's got something very important to say, and it'll serve an important purpose in this film. Finally, no, you know, she won't make a joke. Nope, she makes another joke. Yeah, exactly. She makes another joke. But, okay, she does deliver the news that Snake Eyes' dad was once a G.I. Joe. So she tells him that his dad was a G.I. Joe. That's why he was being tracked down. That's why he was killed. And so, you know, he was killed apparently because he had infiltrated a Cobra base or something like that. And anyways, that was the reason why he was tracked down to the place he was. He had some information that he made aware. And so she has a whole file on Snake Eyes' dad. And shows it to him. And then she basically alludes to Snake Eyes joining G.I. Joe. Now my question is this: how long has Cobra been around? Like what the heck? So and how long has G.I. Joe been around? So if Snake Eyes' dad was a G.I. Joe when Snake Eyes was a kid, and so has Cobra Commander always been in charge? It's like by the time we see Cobra Commander, is he like in his 50s, 60s? What like what's the deal with that? I don't know. It's weird. So yeah, so apparently Snake Eyes' dad, G.I. Joe, like I said, and information, you know, to learn about his dad. So they suggest that Snake Eyes has some pretty big shoes to fill. Snake Eyes, mind you, has some big shoes to fill. Because his dad apparently was so super cool. Snake Eyes. They have hyped Snake Eyes up at this point to be like the most amazing person ever and the most amazing character ever. Like, with this can't be beaten, pretty much. I mean, even though it's weird because when he's beaten, he's really embarrassed. But yet, you know, he can take on 20 guys and he's fine. You know, the hard master, amazingly, you know, just keeps knocking him down. The girl in the movie just keeps knocking him down, getting the better of him. 20 guys? No. But so he's got some big shoes to fill if he's going to be a G.I. Joe himself. And that's what they ask him to be, a G.I. Joe. But he says, yeah, that's, you know, it's possible. I might do that. But first, I have a job to do. First, I have to find Tommy and bring him home. For some reason. Like, why didn't you just keep him from leaving in the first place? Why did you let him walk out the door? Why is it so important now to bring him home? You literally just let him walk out a few hours earlier. So again, this makes no sense. If you don't want somebody to leave, if it's important that they're there so that you can do whatever it is you're going to do, you're going to go get him and bring him home, so you're just going to talk him into it, or are you going to bring him back in by force? Like, what the heck does that mean to bring him home? And why? Just to be with the family? Just to be part of the clan again? I don't know. And now here's the outfit. Finally, we're going to see Snake Eyes in his classic suit, the black suit, helmet, the whole 9 yards. He comes out, he's got the helmet on, and for 5 whole seconds, yep, 5 whole seconds, he has the costume on. Yep. He presses a button on the side of the helmet, and the visor just kind of flips and just kind of automatically appears, just like he's Iron Man or something, like he's in the MCU. So this Snake Eyes is in the MCU apparently, because they got nanotechnology or whatever. I mean, like, so you just press the button, it's like ching, 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 and his visor appears, and he looks like Snake Eyes for the first time. But yet it's still a little weird because the helmet actually looks a little bit more like Ezra Miller's The Flash. The back of it, you know, like it's like vertebrae going up or something. Like, it's just, so that's it. You get 5 seconds of him. Yep, he still talks. He's not damaged in any way, so he's still not damaged or anything. And his helmet is basically a glorified motorcycle helmet. That's it. A glorified motorcycle helmet. He still can talk. Not hurt. Not damaged. No accident. And now he's got the costume. Which you know that if they make a sequel, they're not just going to keep the helmet on him, because you're not going to have a higher profile actor like that and not show his face. Because what's the point of even having? I mean, like Joseph Gordon-Levitt did not come back to play Cobra Commander in G.I. Joe Retaliation. He didn't come back because they didn't need him, because Cobra Commander had a helmet on. So why would you need him to come back to play Snake Eyes? Oh, that's right, because you're going to take his helmet off again. You want to keep telling these stupid Snake Eyes stories with Snake Eyes not being Snake Eyes. That's the mystery behind Snake Eyes. You don't know what he looks like, and he's got a helmet on, and he doesn't talk. Whether he took a vow of silence or whether it's the one where he gets injured, something should happen and he shouldn't be talking. But here, he's still talking. Talks a lot, actually. So, you know what? Screw you guys. Screw you, Paramount. Screw the people who greenlit this movie and thought that this was okay to do to fans. And you know what? You're going to get away with it too, because there's going to be some people who just don't want to say anything. They're too scared to say anything. There's going to be some people who are just happy to have a G.I. Joe mentioned film. It doesn't even matter that it's not about G.I. Joe. Literally, it could be about anybody. It could be like an overweight guy, whatever, and they could call him, gung ho, and people would be happy with it, because they just want anything right now. And G.I. Joe is hotter than ever right now via toys and stuff like that. I saw somebody who did a review of this movie, and they're just like, well, G.I. Joe just isn't a hot commodity right now. Bullcrap. G.I. Joe is a very hot commodity right now. It's just that they don't know what the heck to do with G.I. Joe, and they don't get that they need to make an actual real G.I. Joe movie. Not this garbage that doesn't even resemble it. So screw you guys. Oh, hold on. Don't go home yet, kids. No, come on, kiddies. You got to stay in your seat, because there's a mid-credit scene. That's right. It's not done yet. That's the movie that can't get enough of itself. So, here's the thing. The Baroness is on an airplane that Tommy is on. Tommy is on an airplane. And she comes up and she's talking to him about some stuff, and she calls him Tommy. Then Tommy looks at her in the eye, and he says, Storm Shadow. Call me Storm Shadow. Because earlier in the movie, there was some reference to him as like he's the shadow before the storm. What does that mean? The shadow before the... Oh, okay, I just don't even know anymore. So he tells the Baroness to call him Storm Shadow, and apparently he's going back with Cobra. He's going to be Storm Shadow proper, right? I guess he's going to go put on a white outfit, maybe? Who knows? I mean, but he's Storm Shadow. So there you have it. We're all set for the next movie. All set for the next movie, whatever the heck that might be. And I, for one, am hoping that we never see it. I'm hoping that they realize this was a complete and utter failure, a complete and utter flop, and that they don't do anything with this ever again. Because this is, quite frankly, in my opinion, one of the worst movies I have ever seen. I mean, literally, there's nothing that I enjoyed about it at all. Except for the Tommy reference, which the Tommy reference and him switching the bowls with the Hardmaster. But even the Hardmaster, I talked to somebody tonight at my church, and they were like, wait a second, the Hardmaster's young? That doesn't make any sense. He's supposed to be an old guy. Exactly. Everybody who's a fan of this thing, he's like, who's this for? I said, I don't know, Jason. I have no idea who this is for. Because it ain't for fans. So people who just don't know are going to let this fly. And that's the problem. People who don't know are going to let this fly. Like, well, why does it matter if he's this or that? Why does it matter if he has the costume on? Why does it matter if he talks? I like it that he talks, because he's not that character. That's what made him such a cool character now for almost 40 years, is the fact that he does these things. He is these certain things. You take that away and he's not those things anymore. So, yeah, I don't know what to tell you, but it's definitely one of the worst movies I've ever seen. There's very, very little I enjoyed about it in any capacity. It was sitting through this was absolutely a chore. And I couldn't be happier that it was done. I was literally looking at my watch the entire time saying, okay, come on, how much longer does it have? How much longer does it have? How much longer does it have? And I was glad when it was done. This movie is not worth your time. So if you're thinking about going, this movie is not worth your time. And if you are a G.I. Joe fan, it's really not worth your time or your money. It's not worth your time or your money. And I'm not really sure if it's worth your time if you're just a Ninja fan, because it's that bad. I mean, it's not even really a good Ninja movie. It's just blah, completely blah. And if you, I'm sorry. Look, if you get the itch to see G.I. Joe Origins and you're just like, I gotta see it, because that's how I was. I was like, well, I gotta see it, and somebody offered, and so like I have not paid for this thing, neither would I pay for it. I'm not gonna see it again. I'm done, and I'm just thankful that I've seen it and it's done, and I never have to view this thing again. But if you do, just remember this. In the end, it's burning, butt bursting, internal hemorrhoidage, pain-inducing, garbage-spreading, cinematic diarrhea. It leaves you feeling drained and dehydrated when it's done. So, good luck. That's my review. I'm sorry, this is the most scathing review I've ever given anything in my life, and I just can't take it. I just cannot believe that this movie got made. It is literally something that you would expect to find on cable, like on some weird channel at 4 a.m, not a blockbuster movie with the words G.I. Joe in it. This is unrealistic that people would have ever thought that this was some kind of amazing thing. I'm sorry. And I'm sorry. Look, like I said, you know what? You can be mad at me. Don't be mad at me. Look, it's just my opinion. Okay, but I'm just telling you from my opinion how I feel. And this is how I feel. So, there you go. Thanks for listening. If you made it this far, you're absolutely awesome. If you didn't make it this far, then you're not even hearing this. So, but thank you anyways. I appreciate you guys listening. I appreciate you guys watching. Leave me a comment down in the comment section. Did you see Snake Eyes? What were your thoughts about Snake Eyes? All right. Do you think that it's an absolute atrocity? Not because of what you think. I only want to hear from people maybe who saw the movie. I don't like, if you haven't seen the movie and you're just forming this off opinions, don't just sit there and go, yeah, see, that's what I thought was going to happen. I want to hear from you. I want to hear why you don't like the movie, because you might find other things about the movie that you don't like that I didn't even catch. So please let me know down in the comment section. Leave a comment. Also, follow us on social media, all of our social media. We appreciate you guys so much on social media. And let me know maybe other movies that you'd like to see me do a review of. Also, thank you to all of our patron supporters, all of our patrons, and of course, all of our channel members. You guys are great, and we appreciate all you do. And of course, everyone who gives super chats throughout the week. Thank you guys for being you. Thank you for being so supportive. And hey, rock on. Hashtag restore the Snyderverse. Hashtag give me a real G.I. Joe movie and not this baloney. So next time, my name is Enosh, aka Enosh Vet, saying don't let anybody tell you that your fandom doesn't matter. Look, even with me telling you that this G.I. Joe movie is awful, look, I don't know why, but this is probably going to be somebody's favorite G.I. Joe movie. I don't know why, but it will be. So, you know what? I can't begrudge that. I just hope that I don't have to see any more of it. So, there you go. Until next time, don't let anybody tell you that your fandom doesn't matter, and don't tell anybody that their fandom doesn't matter either. But seek to have good conversations and seek to encourage one another. Until next time, stay nerdy. And yo, Joe. Bye-bye.